What is programming? When people hear the term programming, some would say it's building websites. Some would say it's building applications for mobile or desktop. Both of these people would be right. There are many applications. No, I'm talking about there are many things that programming is applicable to. There are two main types of programming which basically dictate what a programmer is going to contribute to an overall project. You got the front-end programming and you got the back-end programming. Front-end programming handles things like how users interact with the website or an application, what they see, the text boxes that they input stuff into. That's all front-end. Back-end programming deals with servers that are linked to these front-end applications, and these two applications communicate with each other. For example, things like login information for pretty much anything is inputted through the front-end application through something called an API, or an application programming interface. A very simple login query is a very common API that collects user data from the front end, and then it then sends that data to the server for it to process and handle. Let's take Amazon for example. You wouldn't want every client to see your shopping list during Christmas, right? Because then everyone will just know that you're buying socks for the 4th year in a row. Hackers could easily access that data if there was no server side and everything was just stored in the front end application. Instead, the data, which in this case is your shopping list, is sent over to the server and stored based on what user created the shopping list. In this example, this data is only sent to the user interface when you input the correct credentials that match that wish list. For web development, the main front-end languages that are utilized are JavaScript, which is partnered with HTML. HTML isn't necessarily a programming language, it's more a markup language, but it's essential for transmitting your code to a web page. It basically displays what you want to show based on your other languages that you're using, which is JavaScript and CSS. CSS stands for cascading style sheets, and this is basically used for a lot of your styles, you know? Let's say you want to use a font. Sure, that one. Do you really want to write this font? And maybe background colors, foreground colors, all these different attributes of your display every time you write a different piece of text? No. This is where CSS comes in effect, because you put all of that into your CSS file, your styles.css, and then it is imported into your HTML. Okay, that's basically web development, and to be honest, if you're sleeping, me too. There's much more that goes into web development, especially like the network part, but I'm not going to go into that right now. That could be a whole nother video. That is my focus for my major, computer science, network security, so I do kind of have a little bias towards it. If you're like me and want to program but don't want to do web development, then you're probably wondering what other languages are there, what can you do with those languages, and which one should I learn first? I learned C++ first, and I feel like that's very common among college students. I feel like that's what curriculums usually push. C++ is very good to learn concepts such as object orientation and memory allocation, but it's not that user-friendly. Python, on the other hand, is a great language to learn since it's considered a high-level language. High-level language just means that the code that you're writing is going to look like plain English, whereas a low-level language is going to be closer to what a computer speaks, ones and zeros. I'm currently enrolled in a computer architecture where we're basically learning like how computers are built and the bare bones of a CPU. Let me just tell you, writing an add instruction in binary is torture. Here's it in Python, and here's that same thing in binary. With the focus of my major being network security, I'm more interested in backend programming and mitigating any security breaches in a server. Basically making sure that no one sees that you're buying socks for Christmas, even though everyone knows by now. That's why my main focuses are Python, C++, and Java. These languages are mainly for creating servers and handling data, not mainly for creating user interfaces, but there are some exceptions. At least with Python coupled with the Tkinter library, you can create pretty simple applications that can run on their own without any use for Java or even a web browser. Check out the tutorial coming soon. If you're sitting here trying to take all this information in and you're still wondering like, where do I start? It all depends on what you want to do with programming. Why are you in it? You can do so much with computer programming, from creating video games to programming AI, which is a relatively new concept. This is why I love coding, because it's still evolving and its evolution doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. If you're wondering how to learn and practice coding, you're not going to get much from YouTube except for some tutorials and basic formulas. The real learning is creating your own programs, whether it's freestyle or from a template online. With hours of debugging and making breakthroughs, you're gonna learn something. Trust me, if you have time to scroll on TikTok or keep up with this guy you can make time to zone in on your craft. And that's any craft. It doesn't have to be programming. And listen, you're gonna have hurdles, some even too high to jump at first. But after hours on the track, you'll be jumping higher than you previously thought was even possible. So who is this kid just talking about coding? Well, my name is Reece. I'm a second-year student at California State University pursuing my bachelor's in computer science. I haven't declared it yet, but I think I'm gonna zone in on network security. It's the thing that just kind of interests me the most. From the lessons that I receive in school to the lessons that I receive out of school, because trust me, I'm on Stack Overflow way too much. I'd like to share all these lessons with you in an attempt to help you further your journey in programming and making those breakthroughs. I'll see you guys in the next video, which I plan to do how to make a simple application in Python. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.